What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. This will be the second time I recorded this video because my audio didn't work the first time. But nonetheless, that was a mystery. And so is more information revealed about Bob's final days. And some stuff is starting to add up a little bit where I think I've developed a theory as to what has actually happened here. But there's also a lot more questions than answers here that are raised by the people who saw him last and the people that, I think probably hold the key to exactly what happened. Now, we don't really know. We saw yesterday, we saw some photos of the hotel room make their way around the internet. And we could tell from looking at them that much of what we suspected, like whether or not people said something about hitting his head on the headboard. Well, the headboard was padded. Falling and hitting his head on the floor. Well, the floor had carpeting down. The local investigation ruled out, slipping in the bathtub or the shower or anything of that nature. So now we go to what some interesting things were said by his showrunner from the night before. And it does raise more questions. It's turning out to be quite the mystery. And if you like mysteries and action and, adventure, maybe check out this book from a viewer of mine. Today's sponsor is Panama Red. No, not that kind. I'm talking about an exciting thriller written by David Edward and available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and all major online book retailers. People, this book is the real deal. It's written by a former U.S. Army special agent, and it simply blew me away with its fast-paced story and clever political insights. It's the first book in Edward Dirk's Lasher series, and there is plenty of heavy-duty action here. Edward first and foremost gives us realism and provides his narrative in many shades of ambiguity, clearly making his point about how deeply the roots of corruption are embedded in the soil of South America and the military effort to curtail it in the late 1980s. And here's the best part. The book is currently free. Yes, that's right. You can go to the link below and get your digital copy right now on Amazon for free. It's the start of a great series, and it's one I'm excited to keep reading. Check out Panama Red in the links below and pinned comment if you're looking for a new adventure book to start reading. Now, exclusive. The showrunner for Bob Saget reveals that he told her he did not feel good, that his hearing was off, and he had a sore throat. As she observed, he had to talk himself up just before taking the stage for this final performance. Look, it's entirely likely that the man was, in fact, just sick. It happens. And we'll find revealed further in this article more information about that. Bob told the crew backstage at the concert hall where he was performing that he was struggling to get over long coof. I don't really know what long coof is. It just means that he's been having it for a long time, I suppose. Maybe that's what it is. And he didn't feel good shortly before taking the stage for what would be the last performance of his life, the Daily Mail has learned. Newly released audio of interviews conducted in the days after the comedian's passing earlier this year, obtained by the Daily Mail, reveal the first time the star's health worries were on the eve of his passing. Bob was found passed away on January 9th after mysteriously banging his head in his suite at the Ritz-Carlton, a 2-hour drive from the venue where he last performed. His passing was ruled an accident. Now, the newly released audio reveals that the showrunner, Rosalie Caci, told investigators that Bob had complained of ill health in the lead up to his last performance and seemed to be, quote unquote, talking himself up until he felt okay. He said that he had long-term coof and that it was taking his body a long time to get over it. That's, I suppose a reasonable thing. It's something that, look, I had it in December and it took a long time for me to feel 100% again, but I understand what it's like, the desire to still work and to work hard and to make your viewers happy or his fans happy. So I understand the drive to want to work, and I understand overdoing it, which is why I'm starting to kind of formulate what is probably the most likely thing that happened to him here. Um, Now, from what I know, he had received multiple pokes, and that, he had spoken about that at length. He said that his hearing had also been off, and that it was the case that night. He was asking the sound guys to turn everything up. And he said that he had been sick the night before, his hearing was off, and he had a sore throat. He was happy he had had lozenges for the stage. He probably just had to, like, rally himself for that 2 hours, and it probably absolutely drained him. And then to have another 2 hour drive after that seems, like an extra big test. But we do know that once he got back to the hotel, according to sources, everything seemed fine. He, of course, did test positive for the coof after his passing, despite having reportedly recovered from it a few weeks before. According to Kachi, I did hear him say, "I don't feel good, but I'm ready to do the show. This is what I do this for." He seemed to be talking himself up. But she said by the time he took the stage where he performed for 2 hours, he seemed okay. He was cracking jokes. He wasn't sweating. He did not miss a beat, nothing slurred. He came out very energetic. Both Kachi and others who worked with him that night recalled how happy he appeared and how minimal the star's demands were. He said that his rider only requested Diet Coke, regular Coke, and Diet Sugar-Free Red Bull. Sandwiches were eventually even removed from at the last minute. Sanford recalled chatting with Bob for an hour or so after the show ended and told investigators that the star had shown him a few others a sizzle reel for a show he was working on. It's just basically like an early trailer. I think you use it to get investors and things of that nature. He was excited, he said, at the prospect of a documentary he was working on and was due to film a Netflix comedy special. The magic was there again. His colleague, Kevin, said, the man who booked him said he was feeling great. He worked with him several times. He described his loss like losing a family member. He couldn't have been happier. Wishing him a good night in the parking lot close to midnight that night, who was one who had booked him 3 months earlier. He rolled down the window, said thanks again, and we joked, see you in a couple months. When he heard of his passing the following day, he thought it was a joke. Now, here's where I start developing my theory, okay? As a non-trained medical professional, I don't know. This is just me guessing, okay? We know now, based on the photographs that were found there, that he didn't hit his head on the bathtub. He didn't hit his head on the shower or on the sink or anything of that nature, because it would have broken the skin. We also know that even though earlier on there was talk about the headboard, we know now after seeing photographs of the headboard that that wasn't the cause, because it was in fact padded. What I believe likely happened is as follows. Bob is a tall guy. He probably overexerted himself at the show. He was sick. I remember when I was sick with the coof, there were many times where I was lightheaded, where I was trying to push it, even coming down here to work, which is like 20 feet from my bed, took everything out of me. The adrenaline from the show probably wore off, and when he got back, he passed out standing up and hit in the middle of his room, hit his head on the carpets. The thing about like people getting knocked out, what's scary is not necessarily them getting knocked out. It's when they hit the ground. That's when they do a lot more damage. It can do a lot of brain damage and things of that nature on top of it, because you're falling unfettered, accelerating at 9.81 meters per second into the earth, into a hard surface, concrete or wood, or falling at a weird angle, breaking your arm, or all these various things that can happen. I'm guessing that he fell backwards on the carpet in the hotel room, which has, if you've ever been in a hotel room, even if there's carpet there, it's usually really hard. It feels like concrete underneath it. The carpet was just enough of a barrier to prevent the skin from breaking, and he was probably so exhausted from the show, he just like rolled over, just climbed into bed. It's probably what happened. We know now, based on everybody's, speaking of this, that it didn't happen, that nothing happened to him before he got back. It's just not possible, because all of the accounts, even the people that, talked to him when he turned, even the valet who talked to him, said it was fine. You can see here pictures of the headboard. It's all padded, so obviously that wasn't it. The table, again, all these hard surfaces and the rigid surfaces, like the table or the center table here, those would have undoubtedly broke skin. And but we know that there wasn't. And based on the account of everyone that was around that night, and now based on further audio accounts of how he was feeling that night, I think the most likely scenario is as I described it. Are there other options or scenarios? Certainly. I'd be interested to hear what you think happened in the comment section down below. Maybe he had an adverse reaction to something and there aren't people that want that. People don't want that talked about. That's entirely possible. But I'll be interested to hear what you say now that more information seems to have come out. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.